The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
We are far west and we are far north for the first time in area's history. We travel to Portland, Oregon for the first ever race at Portland International Raceway. This field is as wide open as it gets. No track history, no notes to go off of, no nothing. It's a completely new circuit for all those involved tonight, and it should put on a great show. Welcome to PTR TV in Season 8 of the Florida State Builders Area Pro Series. I'm here with apologies, I'm here with Corey Silva. Thought I could get that without getting another sip of water in me, but fun to be here. It's a first for area in Portland. We got 12 turns tonight. We got 45 laps to determine a winner. We're looking for our third different winner. Not sure if Sebastian Marin's back after his pedal issue, but nonetheless, Corey, I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this series can put on for us tonight.
For a brief moment, I thought you actually forgot what my name was, but I'm glad that you just needed a little bit of water. But yeah, I don't see Sebastian on our scoring pylon here. I do see a Sebastian, but it's Sebastian Miller. Marin, obviously, as many know, had that pedal failure a couple of weeks ago, and apparently still getting it solved. So that'll open up the field here. Brian Mercurio, highest on the qualifying pylon. And like you said there, Hunter, a track with, you're the king of the record book. You're the stat sheet. You're the Larry Mack. You didn't have anything to work with here today, but this track, very, very technical, and it's really going to test the road course prowess here of those who enjoy this type of racing.
Yeah, so there's a lot to go off of just from the road course stats alone. The guy that we're pretty much going to be looking at tonight, and I believe he is in the field, and sure enough, he's at the top of the pylon. That is James Scioli. He is one to watch out for on road courses alone. 7 wins and 13 starts. Travis Beckner's got a couple of wins, and then 4 other drivers have a win to their name, one of them being Alan Elwood, who I believe is also in this field tonight. Scioli has the most top 5s, most top 10s. The second most, you got to look at Travis Beckner. Third most top 5s, you got Alan Elwood, and then he is also tied with David Weishart for most top 10s on a road course. And Elwood himself, best average finish on a road course, averages a finish of 3rd. James Scioli looking to get his 9th pole of the season on or 9th pole, I should say, on a road course. I believe this will be his first pole of the season. And looking through, he's also led the most laps on a road course ever in the Area Pro Series with 249 laps. So only 2 minutes left in this qualifying session for Scioli to claim a record 9 poles on a road course.
Yeah, that is some pretty tall company right there to be in the overall scope of racing. Now, of course, Portland International Raceway, a track that has held IndyCar racing for quite some time. Actually, in the late 90s, early 2000s, actually held Craftsman Truck Series as a standalone event with the Kart Series. In the as the time Xfinity Series went here for a few years, but as you can imagine with a lower tier series, the logistics of a standalone event in the complete basically nowhere, the economics didn't work out, and as far as I know, they are not heading there this year, but we expect some good racing here today. I showed you the layout. This is the difficult part of it, Hunter. It is very narrow here once you get through the opening complex. That opening chicane is going to cause a lot of chaos, and then it's very, very tight, really, for the remainder of the racetrack.
Yeah, turn 1 is obviously going to be the biggest part of tonight's event because we get no yellows on road courses, so that little stretch of pavement right there, that's going to be a crucial point in who's going to make it out and have a strong night because it's going to be dive bomb central. We're going to see 3 wide, probably 4 wide from those deep in the field, but right here, I believe we're getting out through the S's through turns. This is turn 6 right now, heading into turn 7. The S's are going to be a very critical part of the racetrack. Not too many people familiar with this layout of Portland. 1.96 miles, 12 turns in total. Now we're going down the little right-hander over in turn 8 onto the long straightaway, the long turn 9. This is probably going to be one of the fastest points of the race, other than the front stretch. And then we get a woe down to about, I don't know, about maybe 50, 60 miles an hour. And then you go through turn 11 right here, through turn 10, through turn 11. And then a mighty right-hander off of turn 12. We're going to have to power down that front stretch.
That long front stretch that does double as a drag strip here in Portland. A lot of good stuff here. You could actually see in the center of the racetrack a little motocross track that, of course, they motocross at. And if you are curious, you cannot drive your iRacing vehicle onto the motocross track. I can say that I did try that. But we do have a lot of partners here. Of course, we want to thank, if you are watching, we want to thank you for doing such, and make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here on PTR TV. And if you're watching on Twitch, consider hitting the follow and subscribe button over there. You can spend $5 a month, get double points on that you can redeem for merchandise, and of course you'll get yourself the cool little emotes over there. So if you're watching on Twitch, goes right to the league, helps support your area iRacing. But Peyton Howell, if you remember last week's race, absolutely ran a dominant effort, but Las Vegas, if memory serves, there last week, Hunter, ended chaotically, and he was not able to paint that final picture.
Yeah, a lot of yellows late in the going of that one. Our third race this season where we went into overtime mode. Actually, second, I should say. We won't be going into overtime mode this week because we are at Portland. It's a road course. We get no yellows whatsoever. So the start's going to be very crucial. But, yeah, looking back at it, John Hall started 13th, led 35 laps, got the job done, won, moved himself up to second in the point standings. Peyton Howell led the most laps, finished third. He sits second in the point standings, and then points leader Jake Nichols started 37th, deep in the field, and then came through with a top 5 finish to hold the point lead by just 2 points over Peyton Howell and 3 points over John Hall. Very close at the top of the chart.
As season continues on here, we will get more and more involved in the standings as we eventually fight ourselves into the chase. Of course, that's not going to be until mid-July, so a lot of time to get things sorted out, but road course week, a time for a lot of drivers to take advantage of the situation, and a time for a lot of drivers to struggle and just try to minimize the damage. Of course, next week we will be headed to Michigan for the Cup and Truck Series, and here in the Pro Series, Florida State Builders Pro Series, we'll be heading to Iowa next week, so a lot of drivers probably more looking forward to that track in Newton, Iowa. But this race, actually, one of the few times we could say this, Hunter, we were just saying this off air, not by very much, but this is actually going to be slightly longer of a race, I believe, than the Cup race. We're right around the same distance. So running a couple less laps, but longer times per lap. So this is actually a Cup distance, essentially. A little bit more than usual for these Florida State Builders Pro Series guys, but still only about an hour, but a lot of turns, a lot of chances to mess up.
Yeah, and I would assume that it would be a bit longer just from tire wear, presuming that we get more tire wear in this car than in the Cup car. Cup car didn't seem like tires wore out too much. There was still about 7 or 8 tenths of fall off from the fastest time there at Sonoma, but whole new dynamic here in Portland. We don't know how the cars are going to handle or how the tires are going to wear because it's a track that we've never been to on it for any type of circuit whatsoever. So a lot of unknowns are about to be known real quick, and a lot of questions that are unanswered are about to be answered.
Yeah, and this track, I believe, came out mid to early 2025 here on iRacing, and of course, with it not being a track for the NASCAR series in 2026, it kind of went to the wayside for a lot of drivers, but it is still very popular in the IndyCar community, and you can do some good GT racing and such here. So a lot of drivers will, I know I was reading the Discord, a lot of drivers actually just bought the track today, so you will see some lap time variance here on the scoring, but I imagine with all of these drivers, Hunter, once we get race conditions in, maybe a driver who didn't get all of the practice in that they usually would, it's going to progressively improve their pace and consistency with each lap that passes.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have covers and goers in the field, but yeah, not a whole lot of people had Portland before tonight, let alone at the beginning of the season whenever it was first announced for the schedule. And the way it was determined, drivers and team owners, they got to pick what specific road course they wanted to run on, and the one with the most votes made it to the schedule. So that is why we are at Portland, and that's also why we'll be going to the Daytona road course later in the season.
Absolutely, and that one hasn't been run in the real world, I think, since 2021, but now Central Mobile Homes, of course, our starting grid sponsor. If you're looking for a small or a large home, a new shed or a Triple Crown trailer, look no further than Central Mobile Homes. They've been proudly serving Florida customers for 30 years with a plethora of small and large home floor plan shed designs and Triple Crown trailers. Available in LaBelle, Okeechobee, Clueston, and Sebring. Head to CentralMobileHomesInc.com for more info. And here is our Central Mobile Homes starting lineup. James Scioli getting that pole. Basically a hometown race for him as a Washington native there. And Brian Mercurio to his outside. Zach Kerr, the Aussie, in third. He's going to probably have that road course prowess with Alex Chilcutt. He dominated the other day in, I believe it was the Truck Series race. John Hall in fifth with Justin Opplinger in sixth. Seventh finds Travis Beckner with Jake Nichols in eighth. And then rounding out our top 10 is Peyton Howell looking for some redemption, and Zach Carr in 10th.
We'll find Jonathan Taylor in row 6 in the 11th spot. Next to him will be Connor Horn in 12th. 13th will be Jake Fisher in the 84, and then alongside him will be the 26 car of Jonathan Evans at 14th. 15th is Lucas Lodato, and 16th AJ Stravato. 17th David Weishart, Gabe Herschel 18th, and then in the row next to them, Drew Farinars in the 19th spot with Timmy Pacioli in 20th.
We go 35 cars strong. Jackson Hartman in 21st with Jeremy Miller in 22nd. Diego Sainz and Sebastian Miller, the only Sebastian in this race, he is in 24th. Jeff Wright in 25th, and then we have Jared Skinner in 26th with Hunter Sr. and Bryce Senesac in row 14, and then Ben Pierce and Forrest Smith. And then just to round out the last few stragglers, Josh Parrish, Josh Adams, Casey Lakatos, Donald Kite, and Steve Durham shotgun on the field. Now that is our official starting lineup, but there were a bit of EOLs and such, Hunter, that carried over that will apply here in this race.
Yeah, Donald Kite being one of them, Alan Elwood, Philip Groner, Jackson Hartman, Steve Durham, Alex Chilcutt, and Skylar Shackelford, all with EOL. Some of them are not here tonight, but that is huge for Chilcutt because he started fourth, qualified fourth, I should say. He'll be dropping to the rear, and especially at a road course where we have no yellows, so your race is kind of pretty much in the bin, but there's still time to go and get yourself out of that hole and try to minimize the damage as much as possible.
Yeah, minimizing the damage is very, very crucial. That is going to be something that plays there. As you can see, some of those drivers taking their EOLs there in that chicane, and you miss that chicane, you're going to have to give up some time and probably going to have to do that exact maneuver. Of course, we did see in the the Truck Series race the other day, I know Chase Cabry had an EOL, and he drove basically up to the top 5 nearly until some strategy took him out of it. So just because you start in the back, especially if you have the pace here on the road courses there, Hunter, if you have the pace, you may be able to drive yourself to the top 10, if not more, even without the help of a caution.
Yeah, there's definitely the chance that can happen. So we'll have to see which driver will be the one to do that, or drivers, I should say. As I'm not sure if we're going to get another pace lap. I would hope not. I would want to get this race going as soon as possible. I want to see these guys fan out in the turn one. That's going to be ultimate chaos.
Yeah, right now the lights are not on. Now we even had 2 pace laps at Sonoma, so your guess is as good as ours, but we're going to go on the indication that because the lights are off, that we are going to go green this time by that fence. You tell it is certainly a little raggedy. I've never seen such a fence that is not symmetrical, but that's what happens here on these more nuanced family run tracks. A little bit rough around the edges, but that's what gives character, and that's what gives fun. You know, those ripple curbs to the inside of the track, you'll see drivers bouncing off of them, trying to get those cars to rotate. But here we are through the final corner at Portland. Wide exit, puts you right onto that drag strip, and the pace car will go in, and we will get rolling this time by. Very seldom is there a first in area. Well, the first time that an area race has taken green flag in the state of Oregon. Let's go racing here at the Portland International Raceway. And here is the dive. Oh my goodness. 3, 4 wide. Watch out for the wall. 4, 5 wide through the back, Hunter. This is utter calamity, and they still are all facing the right direction.
Yeah, somehow they got out of their A-OK. One guy going off into the grass, and that's going to be tricky about this because it gets a little slim through the S's here as the field navigates their way through for the first time with a full field of cars. Mercurio out by half a second over Skyly and Zach Kerr in third. Travis Becker saw him. He was one of the guys that poked 3 wide out. Running in fourth, Hofflinger in fifth as we look throughout the field, working their way through the S's.
Yeah, but now we got the Forest section here, so we'll put our blimp away and take a look as they head through the back stretch, which is anything but straight here. And I'm looking throughout and looking at all of our telemetry that we have available, and I only see one potential issue that may have applied, and I believe that may have been Hunter Sr. We're getting indication that he may have had an issue, and he would have been the only one that I think really went astray here on the opening lap. And I don't know if this may just be... Oh, he just dead stopped. Our system took that as an incident because he just flat stopped, and I think he expected the worst, and the worst did not happen. But after one complete lap and through the chicane, now we're sprung out a little bit. And Mercurio up by a second, and Alex Chilcutt, I think he had a faux pas. He indeed did. Oh, it is not the WWE 200. Apologies for that. Hopefully you downloaded the game. Well, there you go.
Oh. Like Jeremy Miller there in the 30, giving a little help.
Little help indeed. Their varying braking points will always come to play here on the road courses. Some drivers will go in aggressively. Some drivers will go in with a lighter touch, as who's at the 22 going a little astray into the grass, and Chilcutt will get by. I don't think that move counts as an off track at all, so he can kind of shortcut that little mini chicane of sorts. But then we go a little bit further up in the field, and you see Jake Nichols in 7th and Peyton Howell in 8th. I believe Peyton Howell may have the upper hand here, heading down onto the binders. Bring up our whiplash telemetry down to 60 miles an hour, and even further, first gear 48 miles an hour. And I'll tell you, Hunter, once you get in first gear, that's when you really have to watch that throttle application. You can burn up those rear tires in a hurry.
Yeah, tire spins can be very crucial because you're going to want to get going as soon as possible, but it's a road course. There's not really too much banking to go into your favor. It's very steep. It's very uneven at some parts of the racetrack, so got to keep that in mind as Scioli has Zach Kerr on his bumper, about a second and a half behind race leader Brian Mercurio.
I think Zach Kerr may be trying to channel his inner SVG, maybe from Australia instead of New Zealand, but basically, I guess, they're basically cousins of countries of sorts, so he's obviously having that upper hand here, going for second. I don't know if he has the pace to hang with Mercurio, but, you know, this is another one of those tracks, a lot of different opportunities to make mistakes, not so much like a Watkins Glen that's very straightforward, a very technical track here that indeed can have some drivers struggling. Well, a little further back, I see Timmy Pacioli in the number 20 of Drew Farinaz here. Looks like Pacioli may be within send-it range of sorts here heading into turn 1. But he will keep it in line for the time being.
Yeah, 16th and 17th on the racetrack. Just outside the top 15, held by AJ Stravada in the 77.
Of course, Pacioli just getting himself on track last week at Las Vegas with I believe it was a top 5 run if memory serves, with the absolute cataclysmic start to the 2026 campaign. Just looking to have something of positive semblance there. Got that last week as somebody last week, Lucas Lodoto, he was just all over the place in all the wrong ways at Las Vegas, but he's knocking on the door of a top 10. Connor Horn, I will say, in the Cup race, qualified quite well. Didn't really run as well in the race, but he qualified quite well. But right now, hanging on there in the top 10, but he has a conga line forming behind him.
Yeah, Connor Horn coming off his first top 10 of the season last week at Las Vegas. Crucial 9th place finish because it jumped him up to a 13th place tie with Farinars in the point standings, so looking to build off that. But yeah, you mentioned it. He qualified good, just couldn't find consistency throughout the race, just kept fading through the field. Having a pretty solid showing so far, holding that 10th spot from Lodato in the 23 car. Jonathan Taylor, Jake Fisher, close nose and tail behind him. You mentioned that conga line starting to form as the gap is continuing to build throughout the field. Mercurio 2 seconds over James Scioli.
Yeah, but last time by 0.3 of a second here. We'll just put that on our display here so you can get a gist of where everyone's running. And he is the only one in the 14s. I did see Alex Chilcutt run a 15 flat closest to Mercurio on the stopwatch, but as we saw with the issue that Alex Chilcutt had combined with the EOL, he's just trying to get whatever he can out of this event up to 23rd spot here. But we do have John Hall, Justin Opplinger, Travis Beckner turning, I mean, from you know these guys better than I do, but Travis Beckner, he's a pretty good little road racer, and I know the grandparents watch all of his races and wish him the best, and he had some shifter issues, so grandparents actually said, all right, you're not having shifter issues. They ordered him a new one, so I don't know if it came in time, but either way, Travis Beckner, a good little road racer.
Yeah, Travis Beckner having a strong showing in that 4th spot. Looking to get his season going. He has yet to record a top 10 finish. He finds himself 20th in the point standings. He did move up 6 spots in the standings after a 14th place finish at Las Vegas. So looking to get going. He's got Opplinger and Hall not too far behind him. And right here on board with Jonathan Taylor, looking to get around Lucas Lodato in the 23 machine, just trying to follow his way through. So head off turn 8 and down this long back straight.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. It's a little bit of a distance, but I can read what is on the back of Lucas Lodato's deck lid there, and it just makes the 18-year-old in me laugh. I do apologize for that, folks, but I'll let you read that as well, and maybe you'll chuckle as well.
Okay, I see it.
We'll leave that one there, and for your own jokes, what is actually the sponsor on his car? We see him enough. It is Swamp. Not sure what that is, but
for his team, Swamp Motorsports.
There you go. Perfect. But you got to chuckle, and that's what it is here. But here are the Yarn Hub boys. They are right next to each other, 5th and 6th, Opplinger and Hall. All of the while, they're only a little bit behind Travis Beckner, as I do believe somebody, Forrest Smith, that is catastrophic engine damage for Mr. Forrest. That is the 99 to the inside, and I think the 99 scared him off the track, and there's the 1, Hunter Sr. for good measure.
Yeah, so turn 12
in the wall.
Oh, he
missed the track.
Oh, wow. He just did not have control at all.
99 saw an opportunity, and then 99 scurred him there, and then Hunter Sr. just also missed the corner, completely unrelated. So,
yeah, that tire wall, it doesn't really stick out a lot, but there's not a whole lot of room between the end of the curbing and the tire wall through turn 12. So if you overshoot that part a little bit too much, you're going to end up in that tire wall. You're going to have yourself a burnt barbecue underneath your engine like Forrest Smith is. Here is the 77, AJ Stravato, getting around Jonathan Evans in the 26 for the 14th position.
Yep, and this is the kind of race that allows us to kind of go through and maybe spend a little more time on drivers we usually don't talk about on a week-to-week basis here. But someone we do talk about, Alex Chilcutt, big dive underneath Gabe Herschel. Now, Hunter is witness. I did complete shutdown and restart trading paints prior to this race, about 5 minutes before the grid. So if Gabe Herschel's actually has a paint scheme, it's not my fault. We've been having issues with the trading paint software. So Gabe, if whatever your paint scheme is, apologize that It didn't make the air here today. But anyways, he is in 20th. Josh Parrish, 21st, just behind him. Jeff Wright, someone usually we expect top 5, top 10, but obviously maybe not the road racer of champions, but just trying to do what he can do. I think he actually locked it up here heading into that little hairpin.
Yeah, in only 2 races this season. He missed the first race at Daytona, I do believe, but 2 top 10s in 2 races, so up to 13th in the point standings, and a 3-way tie actually with Farn Arns and Connor Horn in the standings, coming off a 6th place run last week at Las Vegas, but yeah, looking to do a little bit better, but finds himself outside the top 20 at the moment.
There's that little access road there, as well as kind of go a little further back so you can see this is Diego Sainz. Look at that little access road there that kind of connects the different parts of the track. Seeing drivers really go very wide there to utilize that for a better run into the next corner, but it looked from a distance like he just completely was going to drive off the track, but that is not what happened. Jake Nichols, 73, closing in on Opplinger there as John Hall did get into 5th there, passing teammate Opplinger and driving off, setting sail on Travis Beckner. But now Jake Nichols closing on in. You'll get a little bit of slipstream here because we are a road course, so it's not draft, it's slipstream here on the road courses. But heading down the backstretch, you'll get a little bit here as we hit about 155, 160. Kicking up the dust, Luke Bryan styles, Opplinger. And then here's, let's see if Nichols can set a good run up down the drag strip.
Yeah, you want to get off turn 12 pretty decent. If you get a bad firing on the tires and spin them through turn 12, you're going to pay for it on this long front stretch, and then into turn 1, you might be under attack here. But Opplinger not under attack for now, but Nichols sniffing that bumper, getting closer and closer. Peyton Howell not too far behind as well, looking to creep into the picture.
Now, of course, we saw at Sonoma in the 2 races we saw, namely the truck race more specifically, we did see that tire wear and overcut, undercut strategies became quite prevalent. So as we always try not to forget the leader and the utter domination that Mercurio is putting on the field in the C-to-C, coast-to-coast Supra, let's take a look at his best last lap situation here. Falling off, what is that, 1.4 seconds if I can do some mathematics in about 10 laps. So this seems
That's about accurate.
It seems like another one of those races where you would think, all right, pit around 23, 22, 24, but if you don't mind suffering for a couple extra laps, maybe pit a lap or 2 earlier might gain you nearly 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's looking like tire wear is going to be a good concern. 1 second to 1.5 seconds to fall off throughout the field. And then some. Hello, looking low. Lodado's got Jonathan Taylor looking low going through turn 1, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th right here in your screen. Jake Fisher closing in on this group as well. Connor Horn trying to drive away from it all.
Yes, he is. And that 67 big dive in there for a little bit was Jonathan Taylor. Then I think he kind of retracted some of that dive. This is not usually where you want to pass. This is the very narrow point. Hey, oh, that is a little shunted run there. Well, he did the shunt, but he didn't really do the run yet, and Lodoto still to the inside.
Yeah, rolling their way through turn 6 through turn 7 now into turn 8. And Lodoto still holding on to that 11th spot no matter what Jonathan Taylor does.
That's what he's holding on to, that spot. Yeah, that joke. I don't know how we've missed that joke this entire season here, but anywho, back to reality. There goes Connor Horn. I talked about running wide, trying to get that apex, trying to get that turn-in point for the kind of pseudo double apex right-hander there. And right here is Oregon. I don't know much about Northwest racing. I know there's a lot of talk with NASCAR, and you know, the Northwest, the most underutilized part of the country when it comes to professional racing. Truck Series used to race at a few tracks in Washington State, but there's been always talks about building a track here for NASCAR, just not yet to be. But Northwest fans, hopefully they enjoyed the couple of years that they got out of this place. But this is the best battle on the racetrack right now. We do have 4 retirees: Josh Adams, Forrest Smith, Hunter Sr., and Donald Kite. Steve Durham off the lead lap in 31st, and Ben Pierce, shotgun of the lead lap drivers there in 30th. Kind of our 1/4 distance recap.
Yeah, it's a shame. I always thought Portland put on a decent show. I didn't think it was a snooze fest like some people might have thought it was, but I think too much of a economic climb to travel across the country. This is like northwest, pretty steep from the rest of where the NASCAR tracks are.
And I'm pretty sure NASCAR didn't help them, and the next week afterwards and the week before were both East Coast races, so they literally made them do a 6,000-mile round trip for essentially the payout of peanuts here to head all the way out here. So that was unfortunate, but what's not unfortunate is the fact that Hendry County Motorsports Park is back, and racing will be there on April 25th as Travis Beckner, looking to lose a spot to John Hall here, had the suboptimal line, and now the optimal line is back. But you can catch the Crusoe Late Models, V8 Warriors, and more as they're still digging at it. Tickets $20 for adults, and kids 5 and under get in free. Discounts for seniors and teens. Come check out the southernmost dirt track in America in Clewiston off US 27 HenryRacing.com. And Travis has his rear view full of that Yarn Hub Supra.
Yeah, rolling through turn 10 now through the right-hander in turn 11, and then getting ready for a strong turn 12 to get down that front straightaway. But Beckner's still holding on to his own in 4th. John Hall closing the gap in 5th, has broken away from 6th place Justin Opplinger, who has Jake Nichols and Peyton Howell still close to him, within a second from each other as they roll into turn 1.
And you can see the lap times there, a 14, a 15, and a 14. So for as technical as this track is, they are running basically complete dead even lap times, which is super impressive to say. With everything going on here in Portland. But again, 14 laps in, Brian Mercurio started from the 2nd position because James Scioli did manage to sneak the pole away from him. But he has he got the lead on the opening start and has just pulled away. Currently running, actually no, last time by, I got to give credit where credit is due. James Scioli actually did run a little bit faster last time by 0.2 of a second. Now that's not necessarily enough to eat up 3 seconds, but well, this lap ain't going to be that great because he definitely hopped that curb a little bit more than he wanted to, and that'll cost him, as you can see, it's back over 3 seconds. But Scioli still putting some solid laps together, as we do have a battle here with 18th and 19th. Drew Farnaz, Timmy Pacioli, he's a little bit further up the road, but that's Alex Chilcutt managing to work through the field here from that EOL and that spin. Oh, Chilcutt missed the exit of the corner there, cost him a little bit of time, but he will still hang on to that 17th spot, minus 14, but that doesn't tell the story of what he had to deal with given his race. Other people on the track we haven't really talked about here. Bryce Senesac in that 09 car. He's in close quarters racing with Jared Skinner in that 99. We saw Jared having that little, he was right near Forrest when Forrest went off wide, but Senesac with the dive there. Into turn number 1, he will clear, hopping the curbs. Diego Sainz in that Jeff Gordon-esque 64 Supra. And this is all about 50 seconds behind our race leader, Brian Mercurio. We didn't check out our weather here today as Hunter had to step away for a minute, in case you guys were curious at home, but our weather, very cloudy skies here. Of course, it won't rain. We do not have rain tires here in the NASCAR vehicles on the service quite yet, so it is cloudy, but it will not rain, but it is pretty modest. Temperature 67 in the air, 88 track, so should be a fair amount of grip here for these drivers. Not too hot. But of course, something that is hot is rickshotsauce.com, one of our series sponsors with area. They have some of the best hot sauces made in South Florida. Lokahatchee Classic Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. And of course, they're sponsoring the Rookie of the Year battle in the Cup Series on Monday with a $100 prize for that Rookie of the Year. So check them out, rickshotsauce.com. This battle still going on here from 6th on back. You have Opplinger, who has fallen into the clutches even closer now to Jake Nichols, but further behind Jake Nichols, you have Peyton Howell, who this has now created a trio heading on to the front straightaway here at Portland. Getting the fans' view here, heading down the drag strip at Portland on the binders, about 160 miles an hour as they drive off into this very, very sharp chicane, getting down to about 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, first gear. Hard on the binders. Of course, there were some versions of this track that other series ran that they do omit that chicane, and that puts you super fast into this section of the track. So that chicane turned out to be a very valuable addition for many series, as chicanes do tend to be, of course, at other circuits. But Peyton Howell trying to find a way by. A lot of aero push. Dirty air through certain segments of the track, but they're going slow enough in others that they can drive through it. Here's the sharp hairpin right to the back bumper of Jake Nichols. And then setting up for the pseudo backstretch here, the fastest portion of the racetrack. Now peaking at 162 miles an hour, dust on one side, dust on the other, go wide, get the apex, get the best corner entry, down to 60 miles an hour or so, and then hard on the binders again, and this is where you put those 700 horsepower down with a little wheelbase. Heavy stock cars really struggling to put the power down without getting that wheel spin. And now you're hard on the binders, trying to evade the wheel hop, keep the rear end in the track, hop the curbs the other way. And again, this is where you head into the very narrow part of the racetrack with little runoff on each side. If you go wide, you're skating on that grass until you can gain control of the vehicle once more. It really looks like Opplinger holding these drivers up. They just can't find the opportunity, find their way by. I think Jake Nichols is going to have to get a little spicy, but he's not going to be able to get spicy and find a way by, because that's going to be Peyton Howell's job. Peyton on the opposite side of the track for this little kink, but he's going to be able to remain door to door. Jake Nichols all the way out in nowhere land, and that will give the spot to the 52, move Peyton Howell up to P7. And now he'll set his sails on that number 96 of Justin Opplinger, and then soon set his sails on John Hall, who's not too far up the road. I'd say up to probably Travis Beckner would be relatively achievable. Someone we've kind of lost touch of a little bit was Zach Kerr, who's in the third spot. Of course, the Aussie driver started third, currently running third. Fabulous run for him, but he is about 2 seconds behind James Scioli. As you can look here in the distance, not the car ahead. That is the lap down car now of Ben Pierce, but just ahead of Ben Pierce, that is where you'll find James Scioli about 2 seconds up the road. And there, something happened to Brian Mercurio. That lead has eradicated. Let me see if I can find the immediate cause of it, and here it is. This is why you never write anything off here on a road course. The leader not even safe here, Brian Mercurio. Get one better look at it here if we can from the top-down shot. Yeah, he just got wide. And now that 2.5 second lead is eradicated off into the grass. I just spoke of it literally about a lap ago. That 2 second, 3 second lead, whatever it may have been. That is all it is now. And Scioli was running equal, if not better, lap times. So now it's really a race here at just before scheduled pit stops. I'm also getting a cue that Gabe Herschel may have had some issues. We'll check that out. Very similar to what we just saw with Mercurio, just going wide into the grass. No harm, no foul, just lost the time in the process. But back to live pictures. Last time by, of course, Mercurio's lap time not really worth tracking. But we'll see what happens now. We'll pull up our live battle graphic. Watch that live interval. It got down to a low of 0.6 of a second, averaging around 0.8. And as we head down the straightaway to the favor of Scioli, that means Mercurio struggling, getting on the power, exiting that kind of carousel hairpin-esque corner. Now let's see who can get the better run through the back end of the circuit and onto the front stretch. Certainly more aggressive on the brakes was Scioli, getting that gap into the 0.6 of a second bracket. Looks like Mercurio got on the power a little bit better, maintains, keeps it around 7, but now it eradicates down. Now it really decimates down to about 0.5 seconds. So certainly Scioli a lot more comfortable under braking, and at a track with heavy braking zones, I would actually prefer to be the driver who gets on the brakes better and maybe sacrifice a little bit of run, because if that helps me make a pass, I think I can maintain it if I can get to the inside of a driver. So certainly the battle for the lead is on, but Alex Chilcutt coming into the pits here along with Timmy Pacioli. This is just before halfway, and we are about almost 2 seconds off of our qualifying pace. So that is a lot of time that can be gained here by this undercut strategy. Looks like Peyton Howell has got 2 and got by Justin Oplinger. And, oh, who is that? The lap car just ahead of John Hall. Super wide. I think that may have been the 65 again, but here comes into the pits John Hall. Again, now our top 5 drivers coming in, and look at here up front. Now we're as close as we've ever been. James Scioli within a couple of car lengths here of our race leader. Mercurio really, he went off track once, lost all the lead, and now he's starting to slip. Now the lead is absolutely nothing. So who is going to draw first blood? I have a suspicion they're both going to come to pit at the same exact time, which will probably be this lap, as we do have more drivers peeling in.
Yeah, patience is a big virtue to have. 7 of Scioli. He's been slowly working his way back in, just trying to capitalize on the mistakes of Mercurio in 82. And has done just that. He's broken away from Zach Kerr, and now this is ISL in 82. But yeah, they might pit at the same time. Not sure if one's going to try to undercut the other, but they have lap traffic working their way through with Steve Durham in the way.
Yep, and this is going to hurt Mercurio even more, and he had to give him a little love tap there. That's going to force Mercurio a little wide, but nope, here he comes. Scioli gets the undercut. This is huge.
Travis Beckner coming in as well. So those two going to come in and pit. Another car going to come in and pit behind him.
You know what I want to check out here, Hunter? I want to see if perhaps that incident, I don't even want to call it an incident, but did this sequence of getting around Durham perhaps force Mercurio's play here? Like, he evaded him to the outside, but if he wasn't there, do you think he would have pit, or was that kind of just a maneuver to get around as quickly as possible?
I'm not sure, but I think the 7 definitely took that as a sign to come in and pit. That slowed 82 down tremendously, and the 7 was already going slow enough to where he was going to be making a pit stop. So, I mean, we'll see what happens when this all shakes out, but very curious to see what the 82 Mercurio does. I would assume he'd come in and pit this time through. Will be interesting to see if the 7 gets a big gain from that.
Yeah, I mean, it should be at minimum 1.5 to 2 seconds. So I would be very, very surprised if Scioli does not come out of this as the race leader. But here comes Mercurio. Got to have a perfect stop. Locks it up. That's going to be a risk. But I trust that he knows that magic point. Of course, you look to the left of your screen. If you see any black flag icons come up, you know somebody overstepped their boundaries here. As we do have Oplinger and Nichols coming in. Weishart peeling out just in front of our race leader. And we'll keep an eye on that 7, who is just coming on to the front stretch just about now. And Mercurio just getting parked.
I do want to point out 14 seconds in the box for Scioli, 39 seconds overall through pit road, almost 40 seconds. So he was about 35 seconds behind the 82 whenever he made his pit stop. Here comes Mercurio, the 7. Miles, I shouldn't say miles, but seconds in front of him, and will presumably take over as the leader.
Not even seconds. Second, just about. So that was 1 lap. I mean, who optimized the pit cycle in and out? I don't quite know that. Actually, no. Factually, we do know who optimized pit in and out, and we'll show you right here. 39.3 of the overall pit lane time to James Scioli's 40 seconds. So either a better stop or just better in, better out. We saw Mercurio drive it in there deep. So now, does Mercurio have enough to get back by? Is this clean air going to be to the advantageous situation of Scioli where he could pull away? We know he's better and more consistent on the long haul, but we know what Mercurio did on the opening 20 laps. Well, 15 laps, I guess.
Yeah, we'll have to find out if that's going to help him or not, but they're coming through turn 12 now. Peyton Howell's coming down pit road. Zach Kerr, Jonathan Taylor, they have yet to come down and make a pit stop. The same with Jonathan Evans. So the top 3 have yet to pit. Everybody else behind seems like they've made at least 1 pit stop, except Jeff Ryan, the 48.
Peyton exiting right now, and everybody who has those large numbers next to their name, you know, as you were just alluding to, they have remained on the racetrack as we are now past the halfway point here in the Portland 45, for lack there of better name. There's Jeff Wright to the attention of his crew. It's myself, Corey Silva, in the booth with Hunter Sleppy giving you the calls here from the caution-free round number 4 of the Florida State Builders Pro Series here at the Portland International Raceway. And again, our league partners, one of them being shop.areairacing.com. If you're looking for some new swag, you can check that out. Shop.areairacing.com. High quality merch at low prices. You can get their selection of t-shirts, hats, and Adidas clothing, amongst other things. Easy to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. But I'll tell you, James Scioli is going to have some traffic in front of him. And as we always like to say, traffic will give and traffic will take. It kind of gave him a good position, but will karma come about?
And that time through, it seemed like he eased it through turn 12, and then the 82 saw those rear tires spinning. He was trying to get going ASAP. Evans still the leader by just about a second, but I'm looking here, they're really paying for it now, staying out this long, especially Jonathan Evans. A 118 last time through compared to the 115 from Scioli and the 114.78 by Brian Mercurio. So they're right up on him now. This is the battle for the lead with Scioli looking to the inside, and Mercurio as well, going to give him a little bump, try to go through as well, so they both get around the 26 of Evans, working their way through turn 6 and then through turn 7. So the 82 once again putting pressure to the bumper of Scioli.
And that's all you got to do is put pressure on, wait for a mistake, because as we know, nobody is immune to making mistakes. So we'll see what happens here, but right now Scioli has the pressure on, and it is hot and heavy, as they do have that's Jared Skinner directly ahead of him. Casey Lakatos getting in the pits right here. Not sure if that's his only stop, but anyways, that's David Weishart showing up with a black flag right now. He is in the pits now, multiple laps down. He did have an issue. We'll check that out once we figure out what's going on with our race lead, and if Mercurio can get it back. And if he gets it back, it'll be very interesting. We got a dogfight on our hands for the next 23 minutes here in Portland.
Yeah, Mercurio giving pressure to the 7 of Scioli as Skinner let them go through. Flying through. There's 82 and the 7, both nose and tail, trying to get as close as they can through turn 6. And into turn 7 right now, he's going to have a look to the inside. They're going to be door to door.
Now he's gonna have the position. Can he remain side by side down the backstretch? and into the final sequence. Right now, he's in the suboptimal line because the first corner here is going to be a left. But now it's going to switch back in his favor. A little contact. He's in the grass. There goes Scioli off and wide. But he hangs on to it and doesn't really lose too much, although he does lose the lead. But that could have been so much worse.
Well, we're coming up on turn 1. That's going to be very crucial as we have a little replay. Not sure if the 7's going to get him back, but the 82 definitely had his hand forced in there.
Now you can see side by side here, heading into the left-hander. Scioli not enough, little contact, and really, the 82 had 2 wheels in the grass trying to stay as close to the inside as he could. There was just no further space. And luckily for Scioli, he's still within breathing distance here, and we know that Mercurio is not perfect on the long run as they get by the 83 car. That is Sebastian Miller, who just went 1 lap down. Now, David Weishart out of this race, and something did happen to him, and we do have a cue up of what happened to him. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Doing the donuts, but unfortunately, you didn't win the race, my friend, and he did take it behind the wall, Mr. David Weishart. So, but here we go back to the battle for the lead, and now it is a half second and slowly gaining, but again, nobody is perfect, and we'll keep our eyes peeled. But here is the next best battle on the racetrack, Peyton Howell and Justin Opplinger. This is 6th and 7th right now. Zach Kerr is about 4 seconds up the road in 5th. And it looks as though Opplinger got a slightly better run. Actually, no, he didn't. He may have got a better run, but Peyton Howell much harder on the binders there into the chicane.
Yeah, looking throughout the field, trying to find some of the biggest movers of the race as we're looking through the 24 of John Hall to the 66 of Zach Kerr. Hall has stayed 5th where he started. Kerr has dropped down a position, but Josh Parrish in the 71 has moved up 13 spots since the start of this one. He is, again, 18th on the racetrack. And everybody else has really only been up around 5 spots or fewer. Not too many bigger movers, but some big droppers, I should say. Lucas Lodoto down 11 spots down in the 26th position. Chilcutt, he qualified 4th and had that EOL to start the race with. He's recovered nicely in 14th, but again, down 10 spots from where he qualified in, as everybody else is only down a handful of positions.
Alex Chilcutt, I'm just looking here at the timing, and you can see he's about 25 seconds behind our race leader, but Connor Horn about 21, Zach Carr in 9th, about 20, so that's 5 seconds. You know, he's running about 4/10 a lap faster than Zach Carr right now. Well, 3/4 faster, something in that ballpark. So, I mean, there's a chance for Alex Chilcutt. He could crack the top 10. Might be a little bit of a goal, but it's always good to have a goal. But either way, a good recovery based on what he did deal with. And the most important thing is to have a clean day, because you don't want to have any further EOLs. Although, again, the EOLs here at the road courses are the worst ones to get, just because you don't have a reprieve, you don't have a reset. You just take the damage and try to deal with it here. But Jake Fisher in that 84, he's closing in on Jonathan Taylor, 2 names we really haven't mentioned too much tonight.
They're running comfortably here in 12th and 13th, kind of been where they've been the entire race. Stravato up 5 spots in front of them, but Taylor only down 1. Fisher stayed in 13th. Kind of stayed right around that position. Same with Connor Horn in 10th. He's been up a couple of spots since the start of the race, but that's kind of where he settled in line at. And say that for now because AJ Stravato is close to the bumper of the 67. Not too close yet, but getting there as they're working through turn 1. Zach Carr in front of them holds the 9th spot, and a look to the inside for Stravato. We'll try to cross over the 67. Top 10 spot on the line.
Oh, you can just see the wheel spin, hear the wheel spin there, but still tried to keep the power down and not able to do so. Again, through the tight opening complex here. A bunch of right-handers. Feels like it never ends. And now you switch back again to the left. And then up here now you kind of have the sharpest corner on the track, the hairpin, that eventually leads us onto the backstretch. And is there a car to his inside? Yes, there is. That's Jonathan Taylor. So Stravado losing a spot. But let's go back to the race lead where this late run consistency where we are about 10 laps in, 7-8 laps into the stint. And this kind of late run consistency working out for Scioli. You know, it peaked at about 0.8 of a second. Now it's back to less than half.
Yeah, 1:16.18 last time for Mercurio compared to a 1:16.13 from Scioli. So slightly faster than the 82. Still trying to navigate his way back around the 82 Mercurio as they have quite a bit of ways to work with. Travis Beckner not too far back, actually far back I should say, about 5 seconds behind the 7 of Scioli.
Now Zach Kerr was running in third for the majority of this race, but worth noting here as we'll switch our ticker back to the stints, you can see Beckner pit 3 laps before Zach Kerr.
Oh, whoa!
As who was that? That's Gabe Herschel off the racetrack here, along with somebody else.
Senesac in the 09, I believe.
Heading into the sharp hairpin here, and yeah, Senesac just into the right rear. Gabe gave him space, but Senesac appeared to kind of stop too, kind of sportsmanlike. Like, bro, I didn't mean to do that. I don't want to gain time. So, you know, you got to give him credit. He was not happy that that happened.
Yeah, but right in front of the third place driver in Travis Beckner.
So Zach Kerr for 3.
Ooh, he won't be able to get it done there. Gave a good effort, though.
Absolutely. He ain't done yet. Now, like, as I was saying before, I was ever so rudely cut off by that crazy incident there. Travis Beckner pit 3 laps before Zach Kerr, because I do remember Kerr being solidly on the podium. But those 3 laps of tire wear, I think, combined with the fact that the 66 made us have the road course upper hand, certainly working into the favor of Zach, who will dive it to the inside, just a clone of what we just saw, but with a different result. A little bit of contact. If he can remain side by side, which he cannot do, I won't have to finish that sentence.
Very crucial spot. This is a chance to talk with us after the race. Third place up for grabs. Kerr. Who? Someone clipped the wall. Was it Beckner?
Yeah, it was Kerr.
Wow.
Oh, and now he's hopping curbs there, and that really will hurt his run onto the drag strip here, and that'll cost him about 3/4 tenths. Just scrolling through here, and Scioli, a couple laps not in his favor last time by about 3 tenths slower than Mercurio, so kind of trade blows here, but we'll see if any trends do sustain as to how the ending of this race may come to fruition. But yet in Oregon may not be a place where the weather is overly permissive of swimming too much, but I'm sure there is opportunities there, which brings me into Blue Tip Pool Builders, who will bring some party to your backyard this summer. They will customize your pool to fit your style and aesthetic with highly skilled craftsmen and cutting-edge technology to bring your pool to life. If you don't have a pool, they have specialized tools and abilities for outdoor spaces and dynamic lounging areas, outdoor kitchens, and more. Go to bluetippools.com to start your summer there. But, whoa! Oh! Going for a landscaping job. Maybe he wants to work with Blue Tip Pool Builders there. Zach Kerr doing his best to get by Beckner.
Trying. Can't quite get there, but he's trying. Give him that.
Well, got nothing else going on. Let's try to watch that one more time. I think he just had a different braking zone into that, the slower back end complex there, and easiest way to evade contact was to go through the grass. So, take it. Incident points don't matter. There's no incident limits and penalties for going off track here. So, if it means evading hitting a competitor, use the grass. That's what it's there for.
Yeah, still navigating their way through. Gabe Herschel in the 07 has damage from his little skirmish with Travis Beckner, and passing him we see the 26 of Jonathan Evans and the 20 rolling on through of Drew Farnars.
And you'll see some drivers who have the different strategy to really attack the curbs, and some drivers are being a little more cautious with them. Now, I don't think these Nopes cars are overly susceptible to the damage from it, but, you know, some drivers don't like that rotation. Some drivers want that rotation. It all depends how you're kind of driving your car and what you're trying to get the most out of here. But Peyton Howell, John Hall, they've been kind of Velcroed to each other quite a bit here today, and really haven't had one driver solidify as the top of the two. And here comes Travis Beckner and Zach Kerr. Whoa, that's a shunt. That's a shunt. I don't know if Kerr got by in a way that Travis wasn't liking, or if that was just circumstantial there, but Travis, he's all up in his business.
Yeah, Travis wants that podium spot back pretty quick, but we'll have to take a look and see that move again from Kerr.
Yeah, we'll go back to the end of the lap here and headed down the front stretch. I have a suspicion this was a dive bomb, and maybe Travis just kind of didn't appreciate that. That's my suspicion. Yeah, and that Steph Curry for 3 here.
That is a textbook Louisiana dive bomb if I've ever seen one from Zach Kerr. So props to you. He's got the 3rd place spot for the time being, but Beckner wants that bag.
Oh, and you may have caught the very gist of it there. I caught it while the transition was loading there, but Beckner did hit that little backstretch wall, and he's to the bumper again. If this was NASCAR Thunder 2004, I think the rival meter would be at 100 between Beckner and Kerr right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Beckner will have anything for him going into 1. Seems like he's just saving his opportunity. Still 9 laps left in this race, but he's flirting with that idea.
Well, he hatched it. He's flirting with it, but he's flirting with disaster, because if you try too hard, you will end up in the dirt. Well, the grass. Not really much dirt here. It is very well landscaped grass here. But just behind him, not 3 seconds back down the road, that's where you have Peyton Howell. So there is some real estate, albeit some lap traffic in the mix. But going back to our leaders again here, Brian Mercurio, James Scioli, just kind of solidified at around 0.6 of a second. You'll see some ebbs and flows down to about 0.4, and then you'll see it extend to about 8. But it seems like that rubber band is kind of keeping them in play. Of course, not a literal rubber band, but just the skill set, the mistakes, just the overall nature of their pace. But I do give Scioli the upper hand personally. Based on what we saw, I give Scioli the upper hand. But as the old adage says, getting to him is one thing, passing him is another.
Yeah, he's been relatively close the last couple of laps through. 1:16.10 from Mercurio, 1:16.06 from Scioli. So still some ground to make up. Travis Beckner almost half a second off of Zach Kerr's time as gaps starting to grow more between those two.
Absolutely. As we go back and just find some other good battles here on the raceway here. AJ Stravato and that number 77 closing in on the 6-7. Of course, of Connor Horn. This is for the 11th spot. Jonathan Taylor in 10th, a little ways up the road there. This is one of the closer battles, and actually we have Jeff Wright. I think that's Jackson Hartman. This is 19th and 20th. 19th of Hartman going a little wide there. That'll open the door for Jeff Wright to pick one off here, as we are now sub 10 laps to go here in Portland. Again, a green flag-to-flag race, 45-lapper for these Florida State Builders Pro guys. And just behind that, there you can see the leaders as those drivers right on the tail end of the lead lap.
Yeah, Scioli got another 10th that time through 1:16.3 from Mercurio, 1:16.2 for Scioli. Gap is still closing between the two, less than half a second.
And this is just what you love to see here on a track this technical. No cautions. You don't need any gimmicks. You don't need any stages. You could just let them do their thing, and we end up having the cream of the crop, two of the better drivers that you'll see here on the iRacing service within tenths of a second, just having an old-fashioned battle, just Titan versus Titan here in area, and we'll see who can persevere. Of course, starting second but leading the vast majority of this race, 34 of the 39 laps, and then really the only reason he didn't lead them was because of lap 1 and the green flag pit stop cycle. Scioli, did he lead one? He did lead one, and I believe that was the first lap. No, that was the lap coming out of the pits that he led. But here he is, right on the back end of the track. This is as close as he's been. He is the better driver under braking, but Mercurio is the better driver on corner exit. And as I said when you were away, at a track like this, Hunter, I want to be the guy that can dive bomb better than the guy who gets the better run on exit.
Absolutely. It looked like he had his nose poked to the inside going through turn 1, but to no avail. He'll save it for another time, but that 7 is definitely hounding the bumper of Mercurio, and then catching lap traffic won't make Mercurio any better.
Yeah, that's Jeff Wright, the next car in the windshield, as about maybe probably catch him at the tail end of the lap, but Scioli ever so close. And again, there is a whisper of dirty air, but we are going so slow here in most of these corners, 40, 50 miles an hour, that even though there is some dirty air at some parts of it, you can really persevere and just drive through it most parts of this racetrack here. Coming down the chute, pull up the battle graphic, watch that gap, 4 tenths, 3 tenths. This is that better run, and now here is Scioli's strong suit. Hard on the binders, driving into the corner, downshifting, 3 tenths. Look at that 82, just bobbing and weaving down to a super slow 50 miles an hour. This is Mercurio's strong suit. Watch that gap grow down the straight. Oh, it didn't really
not
move.
growing much, closing down a little bit, but still within striking distance for the 7 of Scioli. And again, you got to look at turn 1 here. Going to be a prime passing zone as he'll make up some ground through here, but the 82 might get a little bit more on the exit of 2 and through 3. Down into 4 they go, as they're going to be catching the 48 of Jeff Wright here in a moment.
Now, where will they catch him? I believe it's probably going to be, unless he pulls over, I believe it's going to be either in the hairpin or at the end of the back straightaway, which, if it's the end of the back straightaway, that is the worst part of the track to catch him on, and I think that's going to be where we stand, unless he pulls over, or maybe my calculations are wrong and we'll catch him. No, I think they'll catch him probably on the front stretch, so I think they'll be okay, because we saw what happened just before the pit stop, Hunter. They caught a driver here at this section of the track, and it could be of what cost Mercurio his lead.
Yeah, it could be. We got 3 lap cars coming up here. The first being Jeff Wright, the 48 Scioli, working his way through. Looked like he got a better exit that time through 3 tenths of a second. The gap is closing between the 7 and the 82. 5 laps remaining. 7 wanted to make his move, but still a little too much time left, waiting to get a better optimal position going through the turn.
And I will say as well, Scioli is much better at hopping that curb and getting the car to rotate than Mercurio is. But now we're catching that lap traffic again at a very suboptimal part of the racetrack. This is really tight, really narrow, no real evasive areas. But we'll tighten up here heading into the hairpin. See if perhaps Wright gets out of the way, if he's even able to here. No, he's going to keep his positioning, which he's entitled to do, which means we're going to catch him here, unless he pulls out of the way, at the most difficult part of the racetrack to navigate.
Yeah, down the back stretch, and this gap is as close as it's been for a long time. They're going to catch Jeff Wright in a bad spot, working their way through turn 10.
Oh, right off the track!
The 82's in the grass as well. Wright staying clear off of the battle for the lead, but that put Mercurio in a bad spot. The 7's going to have a nice run on corner exit. He might have to make the move here. There's not going to be a better time to do it than right now, as we're coming up on 4 to go. Going through 1, he's going to back off.
And I saw a little bit of defensive moves. The 71 gets high and out of the way. That may have been a little distracting, but it was the right thing to do. But Scioli, a couple opportunities there, kind of going through the wayside. I think Mercurio has maybe found a little bit more comfort diving it just a little deeper into the corners, which is really kind of just taking away the one real move, the one real play that Scioli's had. Now he's going to have to find a way to muscle his way elsewhere, as we still have, I think, one more just ahead of us. Can't quite make it out. That's Sebastian Miller.
Indeed, as they're working his way through down the back stretch, or somewhat of a back straight, he's going to pull off to the side, let the two battle it out. And I don't think there's any lap traffic in front of these two for quite some time. I could be wrong, but the 7 having to make up some ground, going through the grass just a little bit.
Yeah, he gained a little bit of time there, and as you said, clean real estate ahead as we head down the front straightaway here at Portland in the gap. This is easily send-it range, and now you can see a little bit of defensive blocking down the straight, taking away the braking zone. This is the closest Scioli has been, and this is his better part of the track. Watch Scioli on the curbs, a little contact, but if anything, that contact worked out in Mercurio's favor.
Yeah, big gap separating the two now. Half a second, but the 7's going to have to reel him back in through the S's, and Mercurio's just going to have to keep on hitting his marks, because we only got one more lap after this one. If you don't hit your marks now, it's going to cost you big.
Absolutely. I think Mercurio just lucked out. Scioli backed off to make sure he didn't overly punt Mercurio. He backed off, so that contact actually worked in the 82's favor, but that gap has already been eradicated here. Back to nothing as we'll come down the backstretch here for the penultimate time. You can see the 82 really struggling. Scioli has eaten up all of the gap that he lost. He's looking for a chance, but there's no real passing opportunity at this corner of the track. There's Mercurio jumping over the curbs. Set yourself up. This is the run that you need. A little contact, and let's run down the drag strip for the penultimate time.
And down the front stretch they go. Mercurio sees the white flag this time through. Will he be the first to see the checker flag through? The 7's going to have a look to the inside. Going into turn 1, he's going to have a look over to the outside. Mercurio's going to block. Going through 1 and 2, the 7 got to get a strong exit through turn 2. Not going to be enough there. And then through 3, it's 82 in front.
That's our shop.area iRacing.com white flag here. And really, there's the hairpin corner coming up in about 3 turns. And then he's going to have to get physical with him on the back end of the track if he really wants a chance. Turn 1 and the opening chicane didn't work. Now, can he force his way through here? We've seen some drivers do it. Will we see it here? He's going to go for a crossover move, Hunter.
Looking to get the crossover working through turn 7. And now they're going to go through turn 8 and down the backstretch through turn 9. The 7's going to have one move here, and it's going to be within the next few corners. He's really gaining on him. He's going to have a look to the outside here as they head into turn 10. Contact is made between the two.
Off the track.
The 7's really off the track. He's going to go in front of the 82. They're going to be side by side through the final turn. Scioli's going to send it. Mercurio's trying to cross him back up, but it won't be enough. The 7's off turn 12, and he's going to have another win on the road course. James Scioli going to win at Portland.
Let's not get too crazy, because he did cut a lot of the racetrack there. Will race control let him keep the win, or will they give him a course-cutting penalty there? As it stands, Scioli has retained the lead here on the scoring pylon. So let's go back here, because that was, first off, we just have to say that was some of the best stock car road racing I have seen in my iRacing tenure. I got to give hats off to both of these guys, but let's take a look here. He has the run here. He forced his way to the outside, but he couldn't make the corner. But that's what I'm worried about, Hunter. That was a lot of track.
Yeah, that was a good bit. I'm not sure if that will stand, though, but nonetheless, it was an effort from the 7 of Scioli. He didn't want to punt into the back of him. Had a run to the outside and then got forced into a predicament going through turn 10. Cutting the grass, mowing the grass through turn 11, and then
that was just,
through turn 12, he just went through and got around the 82. But we'll have to see if that stands from the officials.
That just had semblance of that Watkins Glen finish with Keselowski and Ambrose there, but as it stands, and it appears as such that it's going to hold, because he's on the front straightaway here and he's about to do his victory celebration. And that is area iRacing, folks. If you want to see some of the best racing in the service, what you just saw is the pinnacle of it. That was phenomenal stuff, and Scioli's going to burn it down and celebrate in an amazing bit of driving here at the Portland International Raceway. And while he celebrates, let's go down and give you the final rundown of results here today and start our post-race show. How else do we describe it but an absolutely breathtaking grandstand finish? James Scioli getting the win over Brian Mercurio, with Zach Kerr getting back to the podium in third. Peyton Howell fourth. Travis Beckner gets his top five. And then we have Hall, Opplinger, Jake Nichols, Jonathan Taylor, and Zach Carr rounding out the top 10.
Unreal race from Portland. Looking through the rest of the results, just finishing outside the top 10 was Connor Horn. Alex Chilcott recovered nicely for 12th. AJ Stravano 13th. Jake Fisher 14th. Drew Farinars in 15th, followed by Jonathan Evans, Jeremy Miller, Josh Parrish, Jeff Wright, and Jackson Hartman in the top 20.
Getting some confirmation too. Race control solely on iRacing. Admin having no interference on that last call, so it does stand. Lucas Lodoto in 21st, Diego Sainz 22nd, Bryce Senesac in 23rd, with Jared Skinner, Timmy Pacioli back to 25th, and then we'll just let the rest of these guys scroll on through because their day here in Oregon not going the way that any of them would have desired. But we'll head down to Victory Circle, and I will grab him here, James Scioli. That was some of the best road course stock car racing I have seen on my 15 years on the service. You and Mercurio put a thriller on. First off, how surprised at you that you didn't get a slowdown penalty with all that grass you ate there on the last lap?
Definitely a little surprised. I got a little bit of one, but it was just able to kind of go away as I was sliding and giving up time. So definitely got a little bit lucky there. But yeah, that one was crazy. I obviously started the race on pole and then accidentally hit first gear, kind of going in the first chicane, and definitely slowed me up. And then let Mercurio go a little bit just to try and get out of his dirty air and hopefully save some tire. And couldn't really tell if I was gaining or not. And then got to about the 3-second mark, and that's kind of when I started to realize that I had stabilized and then started to gain a little bit. But I didn't think I was going to be able to gain all that time. And then he made a mistake going into the S's there after the first chicane and brought me back into it. And at that point, I could finally see, for those couple laps before I pit, where I was actually gaining some time on him. So just kind of used that to my advantage, came out of the pits, and we had a good battle there. I obviously didn't want to give up the lead. I felt like I had better long run, but there again, just kind of let him go, get out to about 0.8 and get some clean air, and then just have good old-fashioned brawl to the end.
Yeah, that's a grandstand finish there. And it just seemed like the better part for you on the track was on corner entry. It seemed like you could really dive the corners. Really saw you hop in that curb like a champion there and turn the left-hander on the chicane. Is that what you would notice too, that you were able to drive in deep? Because obviously here, driving in deep is the way to victory.
Yeah, once I got behind him, especially that first run, it looked like he was just struggling with a little bit of turn, especially on entry. So I was just kind of trying to use that to my advantage. And then that last run, honestly, he held pretty good turn throughout. It just looked like he was starting to lose a little bit of drive. So I was able to stay a little bit closer, kind of fill his mirrors and try and fake a couple different directions and try and get him to bite on those. So yeah, I definitely felt like the first run especially was entry, and then just that last S's section was where I was gaining the bulk of my time.
Well, we'll see what you can do here, taking this momentum into Iowa next week here in the Florida State Builders Pro Series. Give you the floor, man, to shout out who you need to after that grandstand finish.
Yeah, first I got to shout out you guys for capturing these races. I'm excited to go back and watch it. Shout out to the admin team for taking some time out of their days to help us out. Huge shout out to Brian. I haven't got to race with him a ton. I know that he's obviously really fast, and it was fun to have a nice, what I would consider clean battle. Just a little rubbing, but nothing too crazy. So it was definitely fun to finally get to battle him. He's certainly one of the best on the service and one of the best in this car. So can't say enough to him. Huge shout out to Aftermark Coffee, No Kid Hungry, Simrat Market, Tiltify, and Lucky Ducks. We got a first and an eighth, so some pretty good team points there. And hopefully we carry some momentum and are talking to you guys again in Iowa.
Absolutely. It should be a fun one to watch in Iowa. Congrats, man. That was a grandstand finish, and we'll go back and watch it again myself. Good job.
Thanks, guys.
And now, whether it be circumstantial or because he just doesn't want to talk, We don't have Mercurio here that I can see, but we do have Zach Kerr in third. Oh, no, he is here. There you go, Hunter.
Hey, here with Brian Mercurio. An unfortunate set of circumstances there for you going through turn 10 on the last lap to lose the lead after leading 40 of the 45 laps. Take me through your thoughts on the final lap.
Yeah, rears were going away quite a bit, and I think everybody could kind of tell that the last, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 laps, I had to switch from offense to playing defense. So, right after the pit stops, I had to get my elbows out a little bit to get around James, and not to say that he did. I mean, we were real close to the wall. We just kind of got together a little bit. So, if you want to say that I kind of put the elbows out on him, he kind of got it back on me. So, it's always a good thing, I guess, if you're disappointed with second after leading so many laps. But at least it was fun. I had a blast tonight.
Yeah, it was a thrill to watch from up here, and you don't lose too many spots in the points. You gained a few more spots on Payne Howell, the points leader. So you're sitting fourth in the standings as we're heading into Iowa next week. What are your thoughts on that racetrack? Because we haven't been there in a while, and I'm not sure how that race is going to go because it's under the new configuration, I'm pretty sure. So the turns are going to be paved. Everything else is going to be the same. Take me through your first thoughts on Iowa.
Yeah, I used to be quite fond of Iowa, and then I wasn't for a while, and then I kind of came around it on a little bit, and then I'm not even gonna call it a repave. It's not a repave, but the half job of them trying to do that. That's probably one of the few ovals I still haven't done a race on. I haven't done one on the new Iowa, so my expectations are not very high, unfortunately. Just because we can't move around like you could at old Iowa. But there's going to be a lot of learning to it, and I hope it's at least half as entertaining as what you guys had here tonight.
Alrighty, well, congrats on the podium, and we'll see you next time out in Iowa.
If you don't mind, real quick, I just want to give a few shout-outs here. Obviously to Jacob and all the other admins here at Area who make this happen. You guys here doing the broadcast, always appreciate that. Love going back and looking on things afterwards. All the guys over at Coast to Coast Racing, Tim, Gabe, Taylor, Jake, myself, put on a pretty good effort here, and moved on from the Truck Series here to the Pro Series. All our partners who make this happen, What's on Tap, Ginshore Electric, Danis Utilities, Morass.live, Bar Filaments, Paul Fod Racing, ShopPrestonPartis.com, Specca Bail Bonds, Outlaw Light, Lockdown, and all the other drivers showing up tonight. That's what you need to make a race. And James made it really, really fun. Wish I could have held on, but had a great time nonetheless.
All right, well, that'll be Brian. Good job on the second, and we'll probably be talking to you soon, my friend.
Appreciate you guys.
And now wrapping up third place here. Zach Kerr got himself back onto the podium there. Had to get by Travis Beckner, but you worked your way back onto the podium. Started third, finished third. Nice smooth day for the 66. Talk about it.
I think overall a very well-maintained drive from me. Obviously went for the overcut to try and give myself a bit of a run towards the end, but being behind Travis, had a pretty good fight. I think really spectacular move from me to slide in front of him, and I think I'm just pretty happy with the third.
Absolutely, as you have every reason to. Had some good battling there with a bunch of drivers there in that pack. You were battling over the race, but just got to talk about Portland as a whole. I know a lot of drivers didn't come into today with expectations. Some drivers didn't even own the circuit until a couple of hours before the race. Where did you stand coming in with expectation and your knowledge of this track, and was it where you expected to be?
Had no idea about the track. I think I bought it 3 or 4 days ago. I think I did about 5 laps just to figure out which way it went, and then rolled into tonight with just low expectations. Being a road guy and doing mainly road stuff, I just expected a semi-decent finish, but to come out with a podium, it's more than what I expected.
Well, I'll take that momentum. Next week we head to the short track in Iowa, so we'll see what you can do there, but I'll give you the floor, my friend, if you want to give any thanks or shout-outs for your effort tonight.
Big thanks to you guys for the broadcast and everything, for all the Aussie guys to watch and support me. Big thanks to LBV Racing and all of our sponsors.
Absolutely, Zach. Great job here today, and we'll catch you at Iowa.
Cheers.
Well, Hunter, we had expectations coming in here that didn't exist because, well, there was no playbook. And, well, your trend of the race next year is going to have a really great finish to be barking down. What a thriller that we saw tonight.
Yeah, I'll have to do some updating for the road course stats. Make that 8 wins now for James Scioli. 13 top 5s and 13 top 10s. 9 poles on this forever in the road courses for James Scioli. And by the way, only led... I almost had it.
Two
there
laps?
It is. 2 laps. He only led 2 laps tonight, so that makes his total at 251 for the road courses. Again, doesn't matter if he leads a lot or a little. That 7 of Scioli is going to be a threat to the very end, and by God, he was a threat at the end on Brian Mercurio. So he moves up another 5 spots in the point standings. He's 6th now, only 33 points behind new points leader Peyton Howell, overtaking Jake Nichols as the leader in the point standings. Peyton Howell has finished inside the top 5 in every race this season so far, so he's looking to keep that streak going into Las Vegas. Connor Horn's up 4 spots as well. Travis Beckner, mentioned him. Big night for him. First top 5 of the season. He is up 10 spots in the standings, up to 10th. And Alex Chilcutt up to 12th after his EOL mishap that he recovered nicely for. In the 12th position, Zach Kerr, big time move up for him. That podium spot jumped him up to 18th in the standings, and really looking forward to seeing how this shakes up as we head into Iowa next week.
Absolutely. We're having some our YouTube chat a little frustrated at the way that ended, and the way Race Control handled it. Of course, iRacing is the race control here. Admin did not make a manual call there. There are certain situations where iRacing will give you an off track and they'll make you slow down. As James said, he did have to slow down, but they gave him a very minimal penalty and it allowed him to win this race, and the call does stand. So we'll catch you next week at Iowa. We will catch you on Monday and Tuesday for the Trucks and Cup Series at Michigan. And we'll also catch you for some of our other content here on the channel. But stay tuned. A lot of good things. Like, share, comment, subscribe. And, of course, if you're watching on Twitch, consider subscribing. $5 a month. Get your emotes, double points, and get some free merch in the end. But that's going to be Corey and Hunter signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.